Hey, Kyle, real quick. I know we're going to talk about the Kings in this segment, but can I tell you what Stephen A. Smith said about James Harden, which I think is amazing?
That we are talking basketball.
You're close.
Oh.
Let me see if I can find it here.
James Harden.
Hold on here. No, it's not. Hold on. Come on.
James Harden right now looks like the best offensive player in football.
I can't disagree with that.
James Harden right now looks like the best offensive player in football.
The best offensive player in football. James Harden.
He's no Hunter Henry. When Virgil Green fumbled the other day,
yeah,
I said that's a bad fumble by Hunter Henry.
James Harden is the best offensive player in football. Kyle, do I even want to play? I don't want to play highlights.
Okay. Let's just talk.
I would like to hear from Dave Yeager if that's okay.
Okay, fine.
Let me hear from Dave Yeager.
Hats off to Phoenix. They straight up came out and ran back the lead, scoring 33 in the third quarter. Their defense was better, and we rested on the fact that we shot the heck out of it in the first half, and we were very casual in the second half.
Why so few threes in the third quarter?
We had like 12 turnovers in the third quarter.
It's tough because anything going with that amount of turnovers for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
End of the game, you guys were right there, a point off or something. Did you get the shots you wanted?
No, we gave up a backdoor in front of our bench and gave up a tip dunk on the other side. So that's where the game was. Put yourself at a deficit.
You saw the effort from Ben McLemore tonight. Can you speak a little bit about his game tonight?
He was good. He's a pro. He stayed ready to go and gave us a big lift.
Okay. Yeah, that's where it cut off on. I don't know if that got wrapped up. Interesting enough, there was a pre-scheduled owners trip. Many of the top brass with the Kings, a number of owners were down in Phoenix yesterday. They do this once a year. They'll go on the road, usually somewhere West Coast, and go take in a game. But that had to be fun too, having Vivek and the whole crew down there watching that garbage. It was garbage for a good portion of the game. The first half looked great, and they blew it. And as I said at the beginning of the show, and you can chime into it, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140 on the Firewings hotline. I don't have any positives from last night. But at the same time, I don't hate the whole year and think everybody should be fired. Is that fair?
Yeah, because it's an 82-game season.
But I also don't want to sound like every time the Kings screw the pooch, I'm like, oh, they're still better than, which is true.
Okay. So for me, in that case, what the discussion has to be about, because after blowing a 21-point lead like that against a bad team, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Mm-hmm. But the bigger issue is this team has now struggled to hold leads all year. That's the recurring issue. This wasn't a one-off thing. Like, if you want to break down the intricacies of what went wrong in this game, I mean, I guess. But the bigger deal is like, dude, this team needs to extend their 21-point leads, not coast. They're not good enough to coast.
It's one thing when you blow a lead to Portland or Denver or the Warriors.
Right.
Or I can even stomach, well, I can't, but the Lakers on the road. Whatever. But to blow a 21-point lead to a team that had lost 6 straight and all 6 at home, that was without Devin Booker, and is the second worst team in the NBA. That's just the worst loss. It's just a garbage-ass loss. Or a gal, as I like to call it. Garbage-ass loss. There's no bright side. Now, listen, maybe a month from now we can look back and go, well, that Phoenix loss, that certainly lit a fire under them. It really did. Well, look at that. We've won 80% of our games since then. Fine. But we're not there right now, so I don't want to sit here and say that. I thought everybody but Ben McLemore sucked on the whole team, pretty much. And that's probably overdoing it, but De'Aaron Fox had 8 turnovers. Buddy Hield had 5. Bogdan Bogdanovic, I don't know what the hell is wrong with him lately, but it seems like every game he starts out 0 of 1,000. Willie was actually fine. For Willie, he was fine. Bielitsa was non-existent. I mean, Harry was okay in the time he got. Justin Jackson was okay. He played a good amount of minutes. Costa did what Costa does. Shot 60% from the field. 6 points, 5 boards. That's what Costa does. He just comes in and rebounds. Yogi Ferrell wasn't great. I thought that I'm really frustrated with that coaching play at the end. That play out of the timeout. That inbounds to Willie Cauley-Stein. I need to ask Dave Yeager that. Somebody does. Because I really want to believe there's a logical reason for that. I really want to believe if Dave Yeager were on the phone right now, he'd be like, okay, stupid, listen, here's what I was thinking, and here's why, and here's the 18 reasons why I did that. And I go, oh, okay, well, it makes more sense. Because on the surface, to my untrained eye, I don't understand why when you are down 3 with 11 seconds left, not only should Willie Cauley-Stein, in my opinion, not even be on the floor, but you inbound to him, and Phoenix fouls him, and he goes to the line and shockingly misses free throws. I don't get that. That's not why they lost. You can't pin any one thing on. This is a team loss. It was a team loss. Oh, and I have this in notes, Kyle. I do have a lot of people that are very frustrated, and I've heard this from time to time. Well, why is Iman Shumpert missing so many games? What is load management? Why did Marvin Bagley? Marvin Bagley missed last night. They were trying to, again, it was load management and in returning from an injury, all right? But
we've got to get something. Load management.
That's like, I've asked that question. I've actually asked that question to the people that know things. I'm like, do you really have to call it load management? Like, yeah, that's the official designation.
You know who I have to call is Sierra Pacific for this winter's best deal on a new furnace. Call Sierra Pacific now, 800-551-3040.
So here's the deal. I need to make something clear, though, because I'm starting to hear people say, why would Yeager decide? Why is he always babying these? Why is he benching these guys? The decision as to whether or not to play a player or not is the training staff, okay? And please keep in mind, not for nothing, I'm not trying to throw shade at the training staff. I'm just trying to put out there, it's the training staff's decision. And if your next question to me is, well, hold on, why does it seem so much different this year than last year? My answer would be, you might remember over the summer, Pete Youngman was, air quotes, made an advisor. And they brought in somebody who, if my memory is correct, and I'll apologize in advance if it's wrong, and I'll go on the air and correct myself if I'm wrong. I really will, so somebody let me know. But I'm pretty sure that the person they brought in to be the head trainer was their experience was the biggest part of their experience was at Louisville, where they I think did every sport but football and basketball. I think that's what I read. The football and basketball was not part of the deal, but it was every other sport. Again, if I'm wrong, I will correct, but I'm pretty sure that's what I read. Bottom line is the new head trainer does not have NBA experience. I don't know if that factors into this or not, but to answer your questions, it's not the coaching staff making that call. It's the training staff. So if you want to ask questions of somebody, ask the training staff. But Marvin Bagley not playing isn't why we lost. That play at the end isn't why we lost. Fox's 8 turnovers isn't why we lost. Bogdan Bogdanovic not being able to hit water from the side of a boat is not why we lost. We lost because of all of that, and it's a 21-point loss when we were so excited about the second half of the year and the 5th easiest schedule in the NBA.
Well, you can still be excited about the second half of the year because we just got to the second half.
I am excited about the second half, and I'm very happy with the first half, but damn it, this is a sucky way to go into the second half.
I agree completely. But we said at the beginning of this 3 games in 4 nights that this was a circle this game because they might struggle against Phoenix. You and I both said that. I think we said that on their day off after the Warriors game. And I guess we said that Monday. So we said it Monday before Orlando. But then they go out and they smack Orlando, and I saw people saying there's no reason they shouldn't be able to do this to Phoenix. And they did for the first 24 minutes.
They did. And you can come up with a third game in 4 nights, and
but then
that's
you go
fine.
in, yeah, and I know that the starters didn't play a ton of minutes against Orlando.
Yeah, right.
But you go into that locker room at half, you're going, we're up 19.
Yeah.
Like, this is our 3rd game in 4 nights. Let's coast to this win.
Yeah.
You take your foot off the gas a little bit. And the Suns still have NBA players. Like, they stink. They're not a great collection of NBA players, but they're still NBA players. And if you let them back into a game, this is what happens.
If you sit there and believe that you're going to win because you have a 19-point lead against a bad team, that's where you're going to be in trouble. The NBA stands for no bad assumptions, and that's what they did last night. Okay, we'll take a break. 4 Down Territory is next. We will get back to the Kings of Phoenix at 7:30, and we will spend the entire half hour breaking this down. Phone calls for you at 339-1140, 1-800-912-1140. You can continue to text us at Jiffy Lube, or at 441140, brought to you by Jiffy Lube. It's the I'm all over the place today, Kyle. I'm really pissed off.
I know, man. Do you want to hug at the break?
No.
You sure?
Do an air hug. It's a little weird. I don't know what to do after the hug. It's like, it's like you ever notice in TV shows, like when people get off the phone, they don't say goodbye, they just hang up. Look for that next time. Nobody ever says goodbye. We're talking on the phone, be like, all right, I'll see you at 3. Click. Yeah, I never understand that.
That's how I practice being on the phone, too.
4 Down Territory next. Sports 1140 KHTK. Welcome in to the drive. I was just about to say, now when you watch the video cast brought to you by Jiffy Lube and Sac Republic, you have a countdown clock because Eunice is awesome. You have a countdown clock that will tell you approximate what time we'll be back. It's pretty cool. But then I came in and I looked at my monitor, and right when I started talking, there was like 45 seconds left. So I almost said, uh-oh, what if somebody's peeing? And they were relying on that clock. And then I remembered I have a rather big delay between what I say and what I see at KHTK's video cast. So as always, Eunice, smart, me, stupid. It is 4 Down Territory, brought to you by Fire Wings. But in today's case, it is Wednesday. We're going with 4 Quarter Territory, and it is Kings themed. We are at the halfway point. So Kyle, first quarter.
Who has been the Kings' best player this year?
I struggled with this question.
Okay.
I did, because I think the question is best. I think it's Buddy Hield. I think we very quickly have forgotten that very much less than, in fact, before the season started, there was a really big debate about whether Buddy Hield should start or not. That was not that long ago. There was a large contingent of people, and I'm not calling them out. I understand where they were coming from, saying, dude, no, Buddy's a sixth man. He's a guy who brings heat off the bench. Yeah, I think that debate's dead. Yeah. Buddy Hield's become one of the best shooters in the NBA. I think he's been their best player, caveat asterisk. But De'Aaron Fox is their most irreplaceable player. He's been very good, too. And if you told me one of them had to miss a month for to go on sabbatical, I would probably say the team would have a better chance with De'Aaron Fox than with Buddy Hield. But Buddy Hield, to me, has been their best player.
I agree with you. And Hield, I think there was a thought that maybe he hit a ceiling last year or was scratching his ceiling last year, and he's busted through that early on this year, and there's room for him, I think, to grow a little more. His ball handling's better. He's been shooting the lights out. He's been phenomenal. But I'm in complete agreement with you that De'Aaron Fox is their most important player. But Buddy's their best.
Second quarter.
Second down.
Who's been the most surprising Kings player this year?
I almost want to say Buddy Hield again. That could go good or bad, by the way. That could also be that could also very much be the other way around. I've been very surprised with how quickly De'Aaron Fox has developed. And I don't want to go with recency bias, but I'm going to when it comes to surprising. And with a hat tip to both Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox, who have surprised with how quickly they both have advanced their games, I'm going to go with Justin Jackson. I think he's earned a little bit of that. Justin Jackson was a guy that if you polled Kings fans before the season started and you said, would you rather Justin Jackson average 15 minutes a game for the entire year, or would you rather him get waived? I think the large amount of fans would have said they'd rather him get waived.
Yeah.
And he has worked himself into a key reserve. He played 32 minutes last night, and granted, they lost. It wasn't because of Justin Jackson. He had 28 points the other night against the Warriors. He's starting to show why he was picked where he was picked, number 15. Apologies to Nemanja Bjelica, way too inconsistent for me, but has been a pleasant surprise. And apologies to Iman Shumpert, who, again, was thought of as trade bait, or maybe they were going to waive him. He has become the spiritual leader of this team. He's just been – it's the injury situation with him that really bothers me. If you want to make a case for Shumpert or Bjelica, I understand, but I'm going to go with Justin Jackson.
I was going to go with Bjelica. He's averaging career highs across the board. He's a huge reason. He's fallen off of late, but his scorching hot start to the year was a huge reason that the Kings got out to the fast start that they did. He hit some huge threes for them. He was a key playmaker early on while some of the younger guys still figured it out. And I think he was played a big role in their transition to get to this point where they have 20 wins after 41 games.
I completely agree. Third quarter.
Third down.
Let's quarter.
Oh, let me just say, that almost sounded like I was blowing you off saying I completely agree after I said a different player. I like I said, I think you...
No, there just wasn't anything else to add.
There wasn't anything...
I hit all the perfect points, and...
You didn't say anything wrong. Third quarter.
No, I got what you're doing. We got to move.
Yeah.
Hey, we're good.
Yeah, good.
Grade the coaching staff. Individually.
No. Oh, man. This might be the toughest question in these four because I don't want recency bias here. This is a grade for the first half. You had Tom Haberstroh yesterday. As I was tweeting back to somebody who said Dave Yeager's trying to coach his way out of a job, he's been terrible all year. As I'm responding to this person calling them an idiot, Tom Haberstroh on the Kings halftime show was saying that he would give Coach Yeager his Coach of the Year award for the first half. Now, granted, Tom is on the – this isn't shade at Tom, by the way. A cynic might say he's on the Kings halftime show. Of course he's going to talk up Dave Yeager. But if you look at any midseason award, Dave Yeager and his staff are either going to be the Coach of the Year winner or in the top 2 or top 3. I have to give them an A, but I will tell you something. Had they won last night, I would have given them an A+. I am docking them even for one game. I am docking them A+. I just can't do it, man. They have done a really good job this year. I'm talking development of these players, the way they've made these guys earn their minutes, the chemistry on the team, and the fact that they're one game under 500 on January freaking 9th.
Yeah.
But last night was the worst game of the year, I feel like, for the players and the worst game of the year for the coaches. So no A+. I'm docking you down to an A. That's my grade.
That's totally fair, I think. And I'm going with an A, too, based on the job they've done this year. I know that there are some complaints about the Kings blowing leads late. Sometimes their offense bogs down and stagnates a little bit. But
Bogs down.
These are steps along a longer path.
Yeah.
They're not going to go from winning, what they win, 23 games last year, 25?
Something silly like that, yeah.
You're not going to go from winning in the mid-20s to winning a championship overnight. They have taken a ton of positive strides, and they're ahead of schedule probably this year, thanks in large part to their coaching staff. If we're having these same conversations next year about rotations and blowing leads, then we can alter that. But at this moment in 2019, it's an A.
27 wins last year for the Sacramento Kings, fourth quarter.
Fourth down.
Should the Kings make a trade this year?
I think so, but I don't want them to do anything that screws with the future. So I don't want to see them trading Buddy or Bogey or Bagley or Fox or even Harry Giles. And I will always say to fans who say, hey, let's trade XYZ players that we don't like for this all-star. Excuse me. But that's exactly the position they're in right now. I don't think they can get an all-star for XYZ player you don't like, but I can tell you that in Iman Shumpert and Kosta Koufos, and Zach Randolph. They have about $30 million in expiring contracts. They also have a lot of second-round picks, and they have about $11 million available under the cap, and they're the only team with, I think, anything over $1 million available under the cap right now. They are in a prime position to acquire somebody that can help, but they're going to have to take on that salary. I don't want to see them get hamstrung, but if something pops up and they're able to put someone in there at the 3, if they're able to get any value for Willie Cauley-Stein whatsoever, because, again, I don't believe he'll be here next year, get it now. But what I don't want to see, Kyle, is I don't want to see a desperation trade to maybe get the 8 seed or 7 seed to get blown out in the first round so that you can look good, and then now we're kind of screwed for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, and I think if they're going to pull off a trade, I would like it to be a trade that we're going to sit here, and I know they would too, but that we're going to sit here and go, wow, this makes them better. This is great. Any trade that's going to go, like, I don't know, was that worth it? Where they're sending Iman Shumpert and Costa Koufis for Tim Hardaway. I don't know. Pick a point, middle of the road.
And it's not even that. Costa Koufis and Iman Shumpert. That's not going to. I don't care if they get back, Flingding McGillicuddy. It won't hurt them losing those two players necessarily long term. But here's where you're going. I think. Andrew Wiggins, shockingly, after Tom Thibodeau has gone, and in his first game after Tom Thibodeau's gone, and I wish somebody somewhere, some show had talked about this, he dropped 40 and 10 last night. He dropped 40 and 10. So that's the one that you go, is that who he is? And is it worth paying him $25 million a year for 4 years? I don't know.
Right. So I'm just agreeing with you.
Right.
You don't want to jeopardize the future to try and make a push this year. If you can get a little better this year and in the future with a move, then I think they do it. But they're going to be very cautious. They've made that abundantly clear.
Did you see those Minnesota players?
Yes,
gathering around Ryan Saunders and throwing.
I agreed with what you said.
I mean, that's everything we thought could. Now that's one game, but Wiggins going for 40 and 10. It's like ding dong, the Tibbs is dead, and they are celebrating around this kid. And that was a lot.
They beat a good Oklahoma City.
They beat
team.
a very good in Oklahoma City, and that was a lot more than just hey, the new coach. There was a lot of flips. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns tweeted out a video of them gathering around Ryan Sanders and putting champagne or water or whatever it was on him, saying this one's for Flip. And that is what we were looking for when we talked about him being the coach next year.
Hey, something I wanted to talk about in the third question, where we said grade the coaching staff.
Yeah.
The Kings last year, they lost last night. They're at 20 and 21. Do you remember when the Kings won their 20th game last year?
God, it had to be sometime, I would guess, in February.
March 4th.
Oh, my God.
They beat the Knicks by 3.
So what you're saying is that the Kings are almost a full 2 months ahead of schedule.
Yes.
Yeah, but last night still sucked.
It did. It was awful. It was their worst loss of the year by a
kick the
wide
hell out
margin.
Of the Pistons.
They need to win. They need to beat the
hell out of the Pistons. All right, we will take a break, and we'll get into this, and we'll take your phone calls next. The next half hour, all about the Kings, not just midseason grades and thoughts, but also where they're going, and last night's, dare I say debacle? Can I say debacle, Kyle? Last night's debacle.
Yeah.
In Phoenix. The Valley of the No Fun. Okay. That's what it was, Kyle.
Nice, dude.
Yeah. Scott Bear, we think will join us. We are efforting him at 8:05. But your phone call is next at 1-800-920-1140 on the Drive, Sports 1140 KHTK. At 8:05, wrap up the Raiders season, but this is all for the Kings. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. As I said last night, the amount of outrage on Twitter does not equal the amount of outrage we get on the phone lines here. We'll see if I am wrong today. This is how last night's game ended, if you forgot.
1:15, 1:11. 7.2 seconds to go. Inbounds to Fox. Races up the far side of the floor. Puts on the brakes, launches the three. It's no good. This game is over. And the Sacramento Kings will go to the midpoint of the season a game under 500. Missing a tremendous opportunity here in Phoenix. The Suns break a 6-game slide. They do it thanks to a huge third-quarter explosion that got them back in the ball game. And then they end the game on an 11-2 run over the last 2 minutes and 5 seconds, and they get the victory 115-111.
The Phoenix Suns had lost 6 games in a row. All 6 of those games had been at home. The Phoenix Suns going into last night were, I almost said 20-61. I'm looking at last year's standings. They were most certainly, I promise you, not 20-61. They were 9-32. 9-32, good for the second worst record in the NBA, just ahead or behind of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They did not have Devin Booker, and they were down 21 points at one point to your Sacramento Kings. So we have talked about it all morning, but for those of you just joining us, let's make it really simple. Last night's loss was the first loss, the worst loss of the year. It was the worst loss of the year. And everyone contributed. Players, coaches, I don't know, probably a fan or two. There's no bright side to last night other than it's over. There's no bright side to last night other than it's over. And you hope that after the season we'll look back on that game and go, uh-huh. And you really hope that sometime over the next couple weeks they'll get a win over a team that they shouldn't to even it out. So over the last couple weeks, we can talk about how they blew leads to the Blazers or the Nuggets or the Warriors or the Lakers in L.A., and we can rationalize that. Those are good teams. We're young, learning how to do it. At least they had the lead. There's no rationalizing last night. And I don't want to hear 3 and 4. I don't want to hear 3 games in 4. I don't care. It's the NBA, man. It's the NBA. It's the NBA. I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying that the starters played minimal minutes in that Orlando Magic victory at Golden One Center 2 nights ago. It is a hour and 30-minute flight on a plane the likes of which most of us have never flown on before. It's a check-in to a 5-star hotel, and you get up and you play basketball for 48 minutes. Now, I'm not saying that that's can't be a bad thing or there's no fatigue or whatever that's thrown in there, but they're not like roofing for a living, you know. We're playing basketball, and if you're going to be young, then you're going to be young. I don't know why Marvin Bagley sat last night. That's a call the training staff made. You know, personally, me, not a trainer. No, you play the kid. You play him. He's been out weeks. Play the kid. I understand that. But that's not why we lost. That play at the end of the game, off the timeout, when it was inbounded to Willie Cauley-Stein and he was fouled. Somebody said to me earlier, well, maybe Willie wasn't the first option. Maybe nobody else was open. No, there were a couple other people open. I watched that play about 50 times. Now, whether the inbounder made that decision, independent of the coaching staff, I'm not sure, but Willie was certainly in a position to get the ball. Why would you have your worst free throw shooter on the floor, down 3 with 11 seconds left? And then, shockingly, the Suns fouled him and he missed both free throws. But that's not why we lost the game. De'Aaron Fox had 8 turnovers. Buddy Hield had 5 turnovers. That's not why we lost the game. Bogdanovic, again, and this is becoming a thing with him. He can't hit the side of a barn for a good portion of the game. Now, usually he snaps out of it. Last night was 3 of 11 in 30 minutes. It was a bad game. Best player on the floor last night for the Kings by far was Ben McLemore. 20 points in 18 minutes. That's great to see. And no offense to any of the Kings players, or Suns players, I'm sorry, but this is not a good NBA team, and they didn't have Devin Booker. So Kelly Oubre, who I like, goes for 26. TJ Warren goes for 21. DeAndre Ayton, the rookie, 17 and 12. You knew that was going to happen. I mean, Suns had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in double figures. Suns looked like a 20-win team last night at this point of the season. So I'm not advocating to trade anyone. I'm not advocating to fire anyone. I'm very, very pleased with the Kings' performance in the first half of the season overall. But last night was gross. I can't defend it. I wouldn't want to defend it. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Hello, Drew. Welcome into the drive. Drew. Well, Drew, hold the line. We're having a phone thing. Kyle will get on that. Just hold the line, Drew. I promise I'll get to you as soon as he figures it out. From the 916, Bogey hasn't been shooting bad, but he's been forcing it. That's the most frustrating thing to watch. Well, I think when you go 3 of 11, you're shooting bad. From the 916, Dave Yeager was outcoached again. Why won't we admit it? I don't know what you're looking for. I just said that play at the end of the game was terrible. Do I think he was outcoached in the whole game? I don't know. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 coaches in the NBA capable of outcoaching Dave Yeager. I think Dave Yeager outcoached himself last night. I'm not defending that at all. That was a horrific play. You only have so many timeouts. I don't know how you stop the bleeding there. Do you leave the starters in? Do you leave the bench in? When do you make the switch? Who's going to get the hot hand? I understand that those are difficult decisions. You can't tell. What happened the other night? I left Bogdanovich in. He started out, 0-7, 0-8, caught fire. That's a gut feeling, and sometimes that gut feeling is going to be wrong. I excuse. What's tough for me to excuse is your worst free throw shooter having the ball in his hands with 11 seconds left and you're down 3. As far as Bogdanovich goes, let's just do a double check and make sure we know what we're talking about. Bogey this season so far shot 43% in December. Obviously missed November. He was hurt. Shot 45% in December, Shot 45% in December, shot 43% in November. He has shot 36% in 5 games so far. In his last, in his 5 games this year, 2019, 3 of 11, 6 of 15, 5 of 17, 5 of 9, 7 of 19. I think Bogey's a fine player, but that ain't going to work. All right, Drew, fixed it. Thank you, buddy. Welcome in.
Thank you, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm not good, but it's okay. So I just called to fire some words, but after listening to you, I didn't know what to say because you pretty much said everything I felt. I mean, I don't know the solution. Firing the coach isn't the solution. We have changed. I mean, we have hired and fired so many coaches. And Dave Yeager seems to change things in the franchise. I mean, I like him, but, I mean, I can't defend him if he loses 5 out of 6 games in the last 4 minutes. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know how he decided to inbound the ball to Willie Cauley-Stein. I don't know why he kept his best rebounder on the bench. I mean,
best rebounder? Who are you talking? You talking about Costa?
No, I'm talking about Bielitsa.
Oh, Bielitsa.
He's the best. I mean, when you look at the stats, he's not the best, but he's the best at boxing out. I mean, he's the best at offensive rebounds. I mean,
Costa Koufos is the best on the team.
Oh, yes, of course. But, I mean, Costa Koufos isn't a starter. But, yeah, I mean, even Costa will be better. But, to be honest with you, Costa isn't a good free throw shooter either. So I will rather put Bielitsa on the court in the last position. Because he's a good free throw shooter, they are not going to foul Bielitsa.
I understand I understand the Bielitsa. Listen, I understand the logic behind that, but Nemanja Bielitsa wasn't exactly having a great game last night either. I understand in that type of situation. I'll say this: I would, and I don't remember Bielitsa wasn't on the floor for that last play of the game. I don't think, but I would have rather had him on the floor than Willie. I think, but unless I'm wrong here. You're the guy on Twitter that usually kills Dave Yeager, and I'm with you on the fact that he didn't coach a great game last night, in my opinion. But I also think he's been a phenomenal coach this season. I don't understand. You talked about how they blew 4 games, and there's no way around that. They did. They absolutely did. But don't we give a little bit of a credit, to the fact that this ain't exactly a veteran team, but most importantly, that they're blowing those games against good teams. That's why last night there's no excuse. That was a crappy team.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes I get so mad at Dave Yeager during the game, and after that I think, you know what? I mean, it's players' fault too. I see Bogdan over there. Bogdan is my second all-time favorite player after Hideo Turkoglu, but he's been bad too. Fox has been bad too. Fox has been turning the ball over too many times down the stretch. I mean, I'm mad at Dave Yeager that he has some bad rotations, but sometimes he doesn't have anything to do because the players don't play good.
That's the thing, and thank you, buddy. That's Drew calling from New York. Dave Yeager didn't turn the ball over 574 times last night. Not an official stat, but probably close.
Let's go, Sacramento.
Dave Yeager did not miss those shots. Dave Yeager didn't drive into traffic looking for a foul that wasn't there repeatedly. I think Dave Yeager called a bad play at the end of the game. I think Dave Yeager I'm not even going to bitch about putting Ben McLemore on the line for the technical foul. Guy would score 20 points in 18 minutes last night, missed one free throw, and it was that tech. That's not why the stinking team lost. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Hello, Josh. You're on the drive.
Hey, what's up, Dave? How you doing, man? Hey, I just wanted to call and talk about the game last night. You know, I got to watch a little bit of the beginning of it. I had to be somewhere around 7 o'clock last night, but I left my phone. I was watching on my phone, and I left my phone on the counter when I left, knowing that, you know what, we have a team that could easily win this game by 20 or more points. That's how good of shooters we have on this team and how much confidence I had in them. At the same time, though, I had just that little feeling, that little inkling, but you know what? It could possibly be one of those games. And sure enough, when I got home and I checked my app and I was waiting for that score to load up, and as soon as that score popped up on my phone and I saw the score, I just put my phone back down again. I was really just honestly disgusted at what I saw. And the only thing I could say is if I was the coach of this team, I would go back and show this team the full game, have them sit down and watch the full Golden State game, even though we lost that game, and say, you know what, if you guys played with the same intensity you guys played this game, they would have probably easily won by more than 20 or 30 points this game. If they played with 3/4 of that intensity of the Golden State Warriors game. And I honestly think no matter what the coaching staff said to them when they first started that game against the Suns, no matter what they said, that they still had it in their minds. The team still had, you know what, we're probably going to go in here and just school these guys. And, you know, it's disgusting, but at the same time, I want to end it on a good note and say at least this team is in a way better spot than they were last year. Go Kings, and I believe that in the second part of the season we will turn it around, and we will potentially, hopefully, get that 8th seed. It'd be super awesome, man. And go Kings, and have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Josh.
Let's go, Sacramento.
Hey, Kyle, why is it that last year when this team sucked, I absolutely couldn't stand fans that called in and tried to be positive? And now when this team is exceeding expectations, I love the positive fans, and I can't stand the fans that are angry all the time.
Because deep down in your heart, you know they're going in the right direction.
Right,
you know who I can always stand?
Who's that?
Sierra Pacific, and it's time to call them for this winter's best deal on a new furnace. Call Sierra Pacific now, 800-551-3040.
Always want to ask, is it Xavier or Xavier?
Oh, it's Xavier. How you doing?
I want to get it right and show you that respect. Hello, Xavier. Welcome into the drive.
How's it going?
Good,
Thanks,
buddy.
guys. Thanks, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that, last night's game was, yes, the most disappointing game of the season. I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I got to think back and remember at the beginning of the season, did we really think we were going to be where we were at? We got to understand that this is a young team. This is the middle of the season. Some may be tired. Even though it's no excuse for the loss last night, I'm just still way more excited and had more fun this season than we had I can't even remember when, watching the Kings games. At least, last night was disappointing because we know what this team can do. We know where they can be and where they should be. Last night they were a young team. They looked young. They looked like they weren't ready to play a back-to-back. But, overall, these guys have been outperforming. And, you mentioned earlier that, we've lost a game that we shouldn't have lost. And we've already won games that we should have won, I think, in my opinion, in the past. There's a couple of games that you can think back at, even the first game of the season against the Oklahoma City Thunder at home. There was games that we exceeded past what we thought we were going to. So, I look at it and think, okay, yeah, last night was a young team, and you know what? They're getting there.
I appreciate it. Thank you, buddy. Thank you, Xavier. We got to take a break here in a second, but we have breaking news from Adrian Wojnarowski. Where is my breaking news bed? Here it is. Uh-oh. Well, here we go, kids. Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting the New York Knicks and Sacramento Kings are discussing an Enes Kanter, Zach Randolph trade of expiring contracts. Nothing close yet, according to league sources. The Kings would want to send out more expirings in a deal. A third team could be helpful. So let's talk about Enes Kanter, and this is something that has been floated around. One of the rare times when fans bring something up, they see something in the news, and then boom, 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 here we go. Enes Kanter is 26 years old, 6'11", 250 pounds, currently averaging 14.5 points and 11 boards for the Knicks while shooting 54% from the field and 82% from the line. That's for what is basically a 7-foot, 250-pound guy. Let's take a look real quick at his career to see, and again, I'm explaining to you whether or not that's a fluke. Last year, 14 points, 11 boards, 59% from the field, 85% from the line. That was in 71 games. Kyle, I think this is the exact type of right move for the Kings. This is exactly the type of move they should be making right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's very good on the glass. He's a tremendous offensive player. Probably couldn't guard you or I, but that's fine.
That's the thing, is that I think the future
That's
here,
why he comes off the bench.
The future here is Giles and Bagley. All right. And I don't know if they're going to bring somebody else in, but I don't think it's Willie Cauley-Stein. Now, you're looking at $18.6 million in an expiring contract in Enes Kanter. You have, I think, 12 or 13 in expirings with Zach Randolph. So we'll take a break. When we get back, we'll take your calls. Enes Kanter, Zach Randolph is on the board, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Nothing imminent yet, but discussions being had. Your thoughts on that at 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Also, Kings wanting to send out more expirings. Well, if Enes Kanter is $18, $19 million and Zach Randolph is 11, that tells me you need around 6, 7 left to make this work. Remember, the Kings have some room. Now a lot of things begin to make a little bit more sense when you look at the fact that Ben McLemore has a $6 million expiring and has been playing a lot more over the last couple of days. A lot of people said, why is Ben McLemore playing? Well, sometimes they're a little bit more ahead. They're doing stuff you and I can't even think about. So we'll take a break. We'll take your phone calls next, and we'll give you some more background on Enes Kanter. Sports 1140 KHTK.